Hello, my dear friends. This is Rabbi Aharon Dobinsky coming to you today from the holy city of Jerusalem, Jerusalem, Israel. It's a chilly, damp day today. That's your weather report for today. I'm going to tell you something. It's been a tough week for a lot of us. Very tough week. Things have been going on in the world with regard to the COVID virus, with regard to elections in America. The one thing we have to remember is all comes from Hashem. And Emunah is what will take you through all this. It brought you up to this point. Why would you think it wouldn't take you through it? Now, I want to tell you a little story. I live near a hospital. What does that mean? I live near a hospital. Ambulances all hours of day and night. Doesn't that bother you? One would think it would. But no, not really. You know what happens? Most of the time we ignore them, don't even pay attention to them, don't even hear them. And that is not the purpose of an ambulance. The purpose of them putting that siren on is to get your attention, to get you to move out of the way, to get you to be prepared for something that's coming, so that you understand something's coming. So you get out of the way. Well, most of us are at home, so we really don't have to get out of the way. But if you're driving, you need to get out of the way. Let them get to the hospital. Could be somebody that you really care about is in the ambulance. And even if not, they deserve a fair shot to be taken care of promptly when they get there. It's very important. So the fact is, even though we tune it out, it's there all the time. And we do the same thing all the time. All the time. There are signs in everything. You know, this has been a most interesting week because people have sent me some interesting pieces of information that I didn't know about before. For example, did you know that Kamala, the vice presidential candidate, if you take the letters and you rearrange them, it spells Amalek? Is that a message? You tell me. What do you think? I think it probably is a message, but you know how it is. But to further expound on that, this weekend, as a matter of fact, I think it was just Saturday, the Republicans got 1 million people to go march on Washington, D.C. They didn't loot anything. They didn't burn anything. They didn't hurt anybody. They just wanted to let their will be known. Maybe good, maybe not good. Depends on how you look at it. I'm not making a judgment call on this, but I'll tell you something I do make a judgment call on. When it was pretty much over, and they started to go home, and there were nothing left but pretty much women, children, older people. The group called Antifa, or Black Lives Matter, already put them together. I know, according to Joe Biden, they don't exist. But I will tell you, they're not just a concept. They do exist, and they attack these people. It reminds me of Torah because it says we must blot out the memory of Amalek, not just kill them off. Blot out their memory. Why? It tells us why. Because they attacked us from behind, where our weak and our sick and our elderly were. And these people did the same thing. What do you think? Now, if I take Kamala and I turn it into Amalek and you realize that she's one of the people who supports these people, does that tell you it seems might be a message? What do you think? I think it is. But we move along in our day-to-day work, doing what we do, and we ignore the messages sometimes. Here's another one you're going to love. Somebody sent me this earlier in the week. I don't think I brought it up yet, but if I have, please forgive me. I'm bringing it up again. They took the word Adonyahu. Adonyahu is one of the sons of King David, and he wanted to be king. And David was older, and it was getting towards the end of his life, and Adonyahu didn't want to wait. So he decided to declare himself king. And he brought in a whole bunch of generals and Kohanim and a big old barbecue. Well, you know, there were sacrifices, but it amounts to the same thing for him because he was just having an entertainment thing to take care of these people, to bring them over to his side. Interestingly enough, if you take the gematria for Adonyahu, which is 76, and you take the gematria for Biden, you remember him, it's also 76. Are they both pretenders to the throne? At the end of the day, Adonyahu had to come back to his brother Shlomo on his knees and apologies because Shlomo was going to be the king, and that's what David had decided. So, what will happen with the other pretender to the throne? Again, we get messages all the time. In the olden days, it was always fun as a kid growing up because you knew the rabbi was going to try and find something in this week's Torah portion or Haftorah that he could apply to today. Sometimes it was really a stretch and you'd go, oh my God, I don't know. But they always found something. Nowadays, we don't really have to look. It's right there in front of us. If you recall, a few weeks ago, I mentioned to you that I've noticed that the Haftorahs and the Torahs are extremely timely. Not just timely to the time of year, but timely to that time of the week, of the month, of things happening. And these are the things that we need to take note of. We need to be aware, not just of what we see in the newspaper, not just what we see. Somebody sent me an article the other day talking about the unsubstantiated claims of the Republican Party of fraud. Unsubstantiated except for they have several hundred affidavits and dozens of witnesses who are willing to testify in court and put themselves up to the charge of perjury to do this, some of which are from the other party who saw what was going on and they just can't live with it because their conscience bothers them too much. So these are things you need to be aware of. Just because somebody says something doesn't mean it's true. A lot of things are a matter of perception. You remember the old story of the three blind men and the elephant? It's one of my favorites, so I'm going to tell it to you. If you don't remember it, you'll hear it this time. If you remember it, enjoy it. There are three blind men who come upon an elephant, and they don't know what it is they come upon. Well, one of the blind men grabs the elephant around one of his huge legs, and he says, aha, I know what an elephant is. An elephant is very much like a tree. I can feel his leg is like a trunk. Another of the blind men, he touches the tusk of the elephant. He says, no, I'm touching the elephant, and I can tell you very much from all that I can perceive, an elephant is very much like a sword. And then the third one is he's groping around. He finally grabs hold of the elephant's snout, of his nose. And he says, you're both wrong. I have a hold of the elephant, and I can tell you an elephant is very much like a snake. So who was right? They were all right. They were all right. It was a matter of their perception. And so in our world, the people who tell you the wrong thing, the people who give you disinformation, misinformation, in their minds, they're right. They give it to you because they believe they're right. Do they think they've done something wrong? I don't know. I can't tell you what other people think. I would be willing to say to you, based on what I've seen in the mainstream media and on the other medias, that perhaps so, because they're very quiet. They're not saying a whole lot. There's not much coming out. That perception, to me, my perception of that is maybe they're ashamed. Maybe they're hoping that they don't get caught at something that they've done wrong, and they figure they know that something has been done wrong, and they just want to make sure that they're safe and nothing happens to them. I don't know. My point of today is to let you know you're not alone out there, no matter which side you're on. You have supporters on both sides, but you have to be aware of what's going on. Don't just take what you read at face value. Check it out. If you get something that comes to you, even if it's on your side, check it out. Make sure it's verified by somebody. Always vet your information, because that's what makes it right. You know, Rashi was one of our commentators, and Rashi is the one who gave us explanations for a lot of things in Torah. And so we listen to him as somebody who vets for us. If Rashi says it's so, it's probably so. We have many other tzaddikim who also can vet for us. We know who they are, and there's not dozens, but hundreds of them. We do it in our religion because it's important to make sure that we have the right information. We should do it in our daily lives as well to make sure we have the right information. So, my friends, with that in mind, I want you all to have a great week ahead, and you should remember, always check out to make sure that what you're hearing is indeed the truth. Make sure that your perception, which is different from other people's perception, is correct, and that you are doing the right thing. Remember what we want. We want to have, we talked about this last week very briefly, we want to have a world of morality. Right now, the Democratic Party is talking about legalizing prostitution. Their business. I wouldn't do it. They've already legalized abortion up until the time of birth, and if the child is born alive, they allow you to let it sit there, linger, and die. So when Hashem says, those who bless you, I will bless, and those who curse you, I will curse, I don't think it takes a real genius to figure out which side is which in this, and which is the side you probably want to stand behind. But who you stand behind is up to you. Just make sure that what you're doing makes sense in the type of life that you want to live, that you want for your children and your grandchildren to live. You be well. Have a great week. God bless you. I love you all. See you next week. All the best. God bless.